Okay, we're recording now. So can we have everyone agree that we can use this recording publicly with a thumbs up? Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Okay, great. A lot of stuff to cover today, but I think to begin with, I just kind of want to take a back seat to you guys, let you guys kind of share where everything is at. I feel like, to a certain degree, I wanted to kind of take a little bit of a back seat this past week, like the previous week. I felt like there was a lot of like activity and engagement the previous week, as I shared with you guys. I didn't necessarily see that happening this past week. And so I'm kind of left wondering where things are at with the rest of the team, with the different team members and all of that. So I hope that you guys are going to be able to, give me some insight on that and share with me, where you think everything is at with everybody. You know, yeah, I mean, we have so much right now. There's so many things like swimming in my head, all the different things that are going on right now. So let's just kind of take it one step at a time tonight, go team by team through where we're at with everything. And then I'll catch you guys up with some new things, and we'll just kind of, take a temperature of where we're at with everything and see what we need to do to move forward powerfully this week. So thank you guys, first of all, for all of your efforts. I appreciate all that you guys are doing, all the leadership that's happening. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's dive right into the agenda, and thank you guys for working on the agenda. I saw that you guys have done that, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys going in and putting what should be in there. So let's start. Let's start with our minutes first of all. You're on it, Cassidy? Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. Okay, perfect. We're on gallery view. We did our agreement. So, okay, let's dive right into recruitment. So Cassidy, you want to share your screen and take it away?
Yeah, definitely. I can share my screen. Just one second. Yeah, so first with the recruitment team, I just wanted to start out by saying thank you all for those job postings. That was super helpful, and definitely something that we're gonna debrief a little bit in the recruitment team meeting tonight. So just, yes, thank you all for getting this to me. That was a huge help, or I guess to the recruitment team, not just me. So we all appreciate that. So we sort of pivoted this week with the recruitment team. We had been reaching out to schools, career services offices via HubSpot and our emailing platform, but we weren't really getting any responses. So we sort of shifted into sending messages over Handshake rather than through HubSpot. So we'll have to touch base tonight at our meeting after this to see if that was fruitful. I know I got one response and approval, so that was exciting. I sent about 10 messages and got a response, so a little bit better rate than the HubSpot. So hopefully we can just, keep following up on that. I also did in that response get an email, a separate email to contact regarding practicum opportunities in the future. So that's exciting to just have further contact information. So we'll get some more updates about everybody else's in our meeting tonight. And then we just wanted to touch base. Jared and I had talked last week, and this is something that the old sort of group of students was working on. And now that our group is starting to wrap up, we definitely want the team members to start posting reviews on Handshake about their experiences with us. So if you could all just talk to your team members in your meetings this week and really encourage them to take some time to, write a thoughtful, positive review of us, that would be a big help. I know I have that on my to-do list myself to do soon. And I'll talk to, the recruitment team about that as well tonight. And then you added this, right, Jared? Testimonial. Yep. Okay, I'm like, I don't remember writing that, so I'll let you share what you wanted to share about that.
Well, similar to what you just said, that we really want to have, testimonial videos from everyone, wrap up videos from everyone, like I think all of you guys saw from the previous semester. So we just have to schedule that with people. And I'm thinking of maybe, where I've conducted all of those in the past, I'm wondering if this time, if it might be more effective to have students doing it with students, maybe like kind of pairing up students and having, one student ask the other and then turn around, have the other student ask the other, and kind of get it done that way. I'm open to it. We can either talk about it in the recruitment team meeting tonight, or maybe in this meeting later if we have time and want to get to it. But it's something that has to get done, and whatever the mechanics are going to be, we just need to get more, testimonial videos from our current people. Yeah, and the exit interviews too.
Yeah, awesome. So I feel like this is a good segue if we have a minute to sort of just discuss how we want to do that, since we're already talking about it.
Sure.
I know you're really busy, Jared, so I think it might be helpful just to take off your plate to have us conduct them. Maybe we could collectively come up with some questions to have you approve to sort of facilitate the conversation. And then schedule those within the next couple of weeks, because I know Thanksgiving's already next week, which is crazy how quick that came up. So yeah, that's my opinion, but I want to see what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I can imagine us splitting up the rest of the team and talking with them as leaders.
I didn't catch what you meant by that, Katie. Splitting up the rest of the team and talking about them as leaders. I didn't follow you.
So like assigning each of us a couple of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're saying to have each of the leaders interview a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. So it could be the leaders that are doing it. It could be the recruitment team members that are doing it. It could just be people. So yeah, what do we think might be most effective? And also, what I've always, worked on doing, I guess we'll have to share some samples for those of you that haven't seen the full samples, that, to acknowledge people at the beginning of the video of who they've been, what they've done, all of that, and then have them be able to share, the meaning, and to have it be, kind of almost like a rapport, really. So it's different than just the, asking questions. So I feel like, from my perspective, I feel like who's ever going to be doing it needs to kind of be trained up to a certain degree, and maybe have it be a little specialized in that respect. At the same time that I'm saying that, as long as we set a good example, I'm just trying to think about how to get the best results out of it, honestly. And I'm trying to think about, whether we can just hand some questions to people and pair them up and expect that we're going to get, really valuable video content, or whether it has to be, a bit more directed and curated. So what are you guys' thoughts about that?
My thought would be that, sort of like what Katie said, if we want to sort of reflect on, what the student has done this semester, it might be helpful to have the leaders do it, because they're the ones who, I know a little bit about what's going on in each of the other teams, but I don't have that like one-on-one connection where I could, have a meeting with Renasia, for instance, and know all the specific little things she's done all semester. So I think it would be more meaningful if we had the leaders do it with their own members. I know that is a lot more for some leaders than others, but that's my thought on that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, yeah, I think it's a good point that we could have leaders doing it. I think we do have to split it up, like you're saying. Maybe it's going to be like one a week for the next 2 weeks for each leader, and then that would pretty much cover everyone on the team. So does that sound like a reasonable workload for everyone here to do that? So essentially you can consider maybe like an hour each week for this, hour maximum. Usually tends to be like 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. So does that sound good to everybody? Okay, great. And you can put that in the minutes, Cassidy, and then, so I guess why don't we split up the people right now then, to make it even simpler, because some of us are going to be on other people's lists. So let's just go down the list of people. Let me pull up the names. So let's start with trying to think what's going to be easiest. I guess let's just start at the top, at the alphabetical top. So we have Alexis on both production and research. And so should we have Katie or Maria do that one? Let me just look at the other ones here. You know, let's just let's do it this way really quickly. So Cassidy, I think you're going to be interviewed by Tatiana, right? Because that's the only one. So let me just make a quick list here. I'm just doing this in our team hours for expediency right now. So Cassidy, you'll be interviewed by Tatiana. And Tatiana, you should probably be interviewed by Cassidy, right? Okay. And then let's see. Katie, who should interview you? Probably Maria, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, since I'm on the production team, that would make sense.
And then let's see, I'm trying not to overload here. So Sabah should probably be interviewed by you, Katie. And let's see, who is Mariana going to interview? So Mariana is going to interview Maria. And well, it looks like, yeah, Mariana doesn't have anyone else to interview. So let's see how it works out with numbers. So then Johnny is going to be interviewed by you, Katie. And then we have Tatiana. You also can't really interview Renasia or Alexis or Mariana. So we're done with Tatiana. So Mariana and Tatiana are off the board. Cassidy, you also can't really interview the other ones, like you said. So
I could do Mariana since she was on the recruitment team for a while.
oh, that's right. That's great. Okay. So Cassidy, you have Mariana. Okay. And then, so basically we have Alexis and Renasia that could be production. So Maria, we can have you do Renasia or Alexis. Who do you feel like you know better?
I don't mind whichever.
Okay, let's have you.
Maybe they are like Renasia is also on the research team and Alexis as well, right?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna probably have Katie. I think you're gonna end up with 3. So I think it's gonna be either Alexis or Renasia. Which one do you feel you know better, Katie?
And I know them both pretty equally.
Okay, so let's have Katie, let's have you do Renasia, and Maria, let's have you do Alexis. Okay, so I don't know if this is probably not going to paste right, but let's see if I'm able to paste it into the chat. Oh, it worked. Okay, great. Okay, so the name on the left, the person who's doing the interviewing on the right, it's also actually in our team hours right now for the moment, but we'll put it somewhere better. That's where it is if you want to grab it. for right now. Okay. Okay, great. So we got that handled. So good. So I think, like you suggested, Cassidy, I think what we should do is come up with the questions. So where is that going to reside? Is that going to be in the recruitment team or the outreach team? Where should we manage coming up with the questions for that? And we do have some questions from the past, although I think they'll have to be modified a bit. And some kind of protocol for this as well. So where can we work on that?
It looks like we have more hours in the recruitment team this week than the outreach, so I can add it to our agenda to talk about tonight for the recruitment team and see who has time to sort of work on it throughout the week.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, thank you. And you put that in the minutes and we've got that managed. Okay, great. Okay, good. So anything else then to go over regarding the exit interviews, testimonial videos? Okay, anything else regarding the recruitment team?
Nope, that was pretty much it. Just hoping that we get a lot accomplished in our meeting tonight and really, start getting some students.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely need to do that. So that's great. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Cassidy. Appreciate that. Wonderful. Let's dive back into our minutes, our agenda. Okay, so business team, Tatiana, you want to share your screen and take it away?
Okay, so for the business team, I'm down to one person, so just me. So
Thank you for holding it down, Tatiana.
we've decided to really just focus on, getting new members who could join the team. And that's when we decided to work on the job descriptions. And this is me kind of prioritizing more of the recruitment side of United for Action. But I also kind of decided that, as we gain new members, it would be beneficial to have a business team protocol, which would be something that new members can look at and they can use that as a reference as they go through, their time with United for Actions on the business team. It's specific to the business team, and then they'll be able to, learn about, how to gain an email access from Jared or something along those lines. And then for the last part, I saw that Jared added changing BCP to UFA. So I'm guessing it's kind of similar to, making sure everything's United for Action. But Jared can go out and talk about that part.
Yeah, let me ask you first of all about what you're saying for the business team protocol. So is that something that you're working on, or what are you imagining regarding the business team protocol, Tatiana?
Yeah, for the business team protocol, I would just, because we've talked about it previously in the minutes or in our meetings. And what I did was just kind of drag or take out certain parts from the minutes and kind of try to put them all in one spot so that they're easily accessed. So like not everyone has to go back.
So you've been doing that already, is what you're saying?
I just started it because I remember last meeting we said to designate like an hour to working on that, and then this week if I had more time to designate more hours to it to complete it.
Okay, great. So you've got it started and now it's working on it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's actually give Tatiana a hand for that. Thank you. Appreciate that, Tatiana. That's great. Okay, good. So the change from the VCP to UFA on the Google Drive. Yeah, well, the main thing is that all of our email addresses are VCP email addresses, right? And really, that going forward, we want to have all of the logins on the Google Drive be the UFA email addresses, right? So essentially, and we kind of have to figure out, you know, when to phase it out and when to change it. And it kind of gets back to, and this is what Tatiana and I have to talk about in the business team meeting, is that it kind of gets back to, you can stop sharing now, by the way, Tatiana, that it gets back to the, you know, the transition that we're making, you know, to new people and our old email addresses. And basically, you know, what we're doing in terms of setting up like the going from an active team member to a contributing team member, like we've talked about, whether people are going to continue to have access to the Google Drive after they leave the project, like they can have access as a continuing member. It's just that anybody that wants to keep having access is going to have to do it through their UFA email address rather than the VCP email address. So everyone will have to set up basically a new Google UFA email account, you know, if they want to keep accessing the drive, because we'll basically only have UFA email addresses accessing the drive. Does that make sense to everybody? And it includes, you know, me and, you know, the official VCP, because the whole drive is, you know, right now, you know, when I comment as the Vaccine Considerations Project. So that was kind of what was making me aware of it. Even on the WhatsApp, I've started changing some of them, but some of them still have VCP for the WhatsApp. So still have to just kind of go in and change everything. So it's all, you know, using the right email addresses and the right access and all of that. So that's basically it. And so we'll have to spend some time, Tatiana, figuring that out, figuring out the protocol and all of that. So I just wanted to bring that up now. So it's on our radar. So any questions or thoughts about that at all? Nope. Okay, great. So anything else from the business team, Tatiana?
No, we're all set.
Okay, great. Perfect. So thank you very much for that. So let's continue on to the outreach production research team. So who would like to go ahead and share their screen and talk about that?
I can go ahead.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay, so we had two big projects for our team. The first one is getting everything all packaged up and ready for the showcase. And Jared, Maria, and Mariana and I were talking, and Jared wanted us to basically come up with a system that leaves like no room for subjectivity when packaging up, just to make sure that everybody has everything all for the showcase, nothing's left out. So we've been working on scalable action protocols. That's what they're called. So basically, here, I'll show you. We set up some documents. Just basically, it's a list of like actions that people do. And so this is the showcase one specific. That's what kind of started on, because, you know, you work through one and then you come up with, you know, the overall steps that can be applied to any action, really. And that would be in there we go. Oh, well, I had one, but so for the showcase, basically what I did for the setup, was to take an action and then just break it down until it can't be broken down anymore. So like for the showcase, you go through the folders and you have to consider like, how do you go through the folders? Where do you put what you find, you know, stuff like that. And then, okay, after you find everything, then you go through the meeting minutes to find where you talked about it, where you might want to take a clip of what you said and put that in the showcase. And then you have to process it and basically like taking all these steps and just breaking them down and breaking them down and breaking them down so that there's no like, oh, I'm not sure if this should be added or not. And it basically is just like, okay, this applies, I'm going to put it in. So yeah, just trying to take subjectivity out of it completely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a really great way to explain it. And it's really great the way that you broke it down like that, Katie, and really created a really good example for us of what that looks like, and then how to use this type of technique for, like you said, any actions, to break any actions down. So it's really, really great. So thank you for that. Let's thank Katie for definitely some great work and going into this document. Great job, Katie. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then the other big thing is we're doing kind of an overhaul of our time tracker and like getting on everyone to actually fill it out. So this is kind of how it originally looked. You had your name, anticipated hours, test, actual hours, results, and then throughout the week. And then the new one actually will have basically the team hours section and combine that with the task tracker, just so we have it all in one space and we can kind of map out big projects. And also another thing is actually dividing the task tracker up into the different teams that people are on. So it's kind of a combination restructure of the time tracker to make it a little more simple for people to fill out. And I think those were the two biggest projects for our team this week. Maria, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I also edited the video on Adobe Premiere Pro that we selected the final timestamps on. Jared still has to give me, feedback, but I'm really glad that it was really easy. So I think that they can actually work on this in the future, like every new members or even like the current members that we have. And yeah, I think that is it.
That's great. Thank you for saying that, Maria. I did download the Premiere Pro onto my computer over the weekend so that I could see what you sent me. I didn't actually bring it up yet to see, so I need to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, and I want to have, you didn't do like a tutorial video yet on like doing the transitions or anything, did you?
No, because I didn't add any transitions.
Okay.
If
Right.
I add transitions, I can do the tutorial. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll take a look at it and then we'll figure out what tutorial you should create. Yeah, because we want to start to have the production team doing that. Also for our well, all the videos that Katie described, we can go back actually into the document that Katie just had up. Can you share that again, Katie? And see where I made an adjustment at the end in terms of Katie had like each person doing their own video edit, but I said that it should be the production team that should do that. And that's where, the production team needs to plan on having a clip outline from every person on the team, and then the production team will create the compilation video. So the output of the videos, when people are going to create a document in their personal folder where they note the start and stop timestamps of all the clips they want to share. So this might be several clips from everyone on the team, and then the production team is going to get that, and the production team needs to create the compilation clip. So it's going to be a bunch of work for the production team to do that. So we need to make sure that we have that on the production team's radar, and also that people are trained up on Premiere Pro to be able to do the work using the tutorial that you're going to create. So we'll finalize the tutorial so that this process can be done over and over again for everybody. So does that make sense? Any questions about that? Okay, great. So, okay, good. Anything else that you guys want to share from the combined research production outreach team. Okay, so let me share again what I was kind of mentioning before, which is that let's go back first of all into the time tracker. So the idea with the time tracker, when we came up, with kind of the version that we've been working with, recently, is that we would have we would have projected, what the hours would be, coming up for the week, and then we would have actual, and that we would be able to see by the end of the week the actual hours, right, for everybody. Let's actually go to the one that we were using this week, since this one is new. Okay, so week of November 8th. So is this, can I ask you guys, is this data that's in here actual data for last week, for the ones that have data in it? These are your actual numbers, Katie and Maria, these are your actual numbers, is that right? Okay, and the actual things that you worked on. Okay, great. Okay, so then, and you guys know if these are Reneja's actual numbers as well, and Sabah as well? Oh, those are the, I'm sorry, I'm looking at anticipated on this side. So here's the actual, okay, got it. So we've got some actual numbers over here from each person. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to, and again, what we talked about was being able to see day by day, using the time tracker to be able to know where people are at day by day. So that's one of the things that I wanted to get really clear on, because, I know you sent the message earlier today, Katie, about people having it ready, accurate data by tomorrow. But really, it should be accurate data like every single day. And I want to figure out with you guys some like end of day routine or whatever it is that people come in, and at the end of the day, their hours are their actual hours. And I think we need to mark it differently, like that it's bold, or it's something that distinguishes it, that it's actual rather than an estimate. Because again, just to look, and we can get into specifics for everyone, but let's just start, with Sabah and Reneja. So Sabah has 2 actual hours documented, and Reneja has 2.5 hours documented. And when we go to, what each of them put down for last week, Sabah is going to have 9 hours. So she was going to have 9 hours, and now we see 2 hours. So did she actually do more hours of work and it's just not there, or was she off by 7 hours? And this is, like we talked about, not a situation for us to wait until, the end of the week to find out the answer to that, right? This is a situation for us to know day by day, because, Sabah will have mapped out her expectations for the week, in the beginning. And then that way, when we see that Sabah has 9 hours and she's mapping out her expected 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, here, then we can see day by day, is she hitting her hours, or is she missing them consistently? Is she hitting them consistently? Is she rescheduling them? You guys understanding what I'm saying in terms of being able to keep on track of it every day, and why we have it structured this way to be able to keep on track of it every day? Because we're in this situation again right now, today, that we're trying to avoid by having a time tracker, which is that we're getting close to the end of the week and we don't know, if these hours have been used or where they are. And at the moment, we're not going to know until the week is done. You get what I'm saying? And that's too late for us to know what's happening, to be tuned in to where everyone is at. We have 2.5 hours from Reneja, and Reneja, projected 10 hours last week. So again, is she off by 7.5 hours? Did she not get those 7.5 hours accomplished, or did they get, devoted to something else that isn't on the time tracker right now? Are you guys following me with that? And like we talked about, again, we talked about last week that the number one thing to get accomplished this past week was to have, everything that that has been done, collected and ready for the showcase, right? And we had last week between the research production and outreach team 66 hours. So 66 hours available to the team. And where can I see the work that resulted from the 66 hours right now, right? Do any of you know where we can see, almost any of this work? I can see the work that you did, Katie, and what you just shared with us in the Scalable action protocol. So that's very clear to me. And if we look at, again, Maria, where you specified work, I can see these hours that you put in. So, and Katie, again, good job of listing all that. So for Mariana, Renasia, Sabah, Johnny, and Alexis, what do we need to do to have the leaders of this combined team somehow be making sure that we are using the systems and that we're getting the results that we need? And if the systems need to change, then what do we need to do to change them to be able to be tuned in, all the time, day by day, of where people are at and whether people are, meeting expectations each day or rescheduling expectations or just totally missing expectations, right? How do we be tuned in on a day-to-day basis about this? So what do you guys think, Katie and Maria? How should we approach this at this point?
I would say to have like a call to action, like each day when they complete the hours, when they input the information that they have, what they work on in a day, if they did not work or what they did, to send like a done or like a thumbs up emoji, So for like, then we see that they did that.
Okay, so you're saying, in other words, that every day at the end of the day, they should fill out the time tracker to update it that day. And then you're saying in the chat, they should send a thumbs up to indicate that they did it that day so that we can all see that everybody's done it every day. Is that what you think? Okay. I think that's a reasonable solution. Let's keep that on the table. Let's see what other ones we come up with, but I think that could potentially work. Katie, do you have thoughts as well?
Yeah, I think I like Maria's suggestion just because us as leaders saying every day, fail the time tracker is going to get annoying for everyone and they're not going to want to do it. So basically making everyone accountable in a public setting probably would yield the best results.
Yeah. So then basically what we're looking at is to have a protocol where each person in the combined team puts a thumbs up in the combined team chat at the end of each day when they've completed their filling out the time tracker for that day. Is that the way you guys see it? Yeah. And then
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry, I would say even like a done emoji so that it's like different than what we usually send.
Okay, got it. The done emoji. I'm not even sure where that is. I guess I'll figure it out.
Like the green check mark.
The green check mark. Okay, so that's somewhere in there. I'll search it out. Okay, perfect. So let me make a note. Okay, so not a thumbs up. We're actually going with a green check mark to make it more distinguishing. Okay. And then if somebody doesn't put it in, then like the next morning is when we look to see whether all the green check marks are there, right? So then what is going to be our procedure if there's anybody that's missing their green check mark, then what do we do?
I guess then the leaders follow up privately.
Privately, you think is best, not sending a message, hey, Johnny, where's your green check mark?
Yeah, just in case something personal came up or something that they don't want to talk about.
Okay, so how out of the 3 combined team leaders, how will we decide which team leader will follow up?
I think that we can, like the both of us three can ask each other like who is available. The one that responds like earlier can tell the people. The member can ask them.
So, okay, so you 3 will communicate to decide who's going to follow up. Is that what you guys think is best? The other thing I want to say is I know Cassidy and Tatiana, you guys aren't on the combined team, but you guys can offer ideas and suggestions since we're just brainstorming. So no need to sit it out. So any thoughts from either of you about what's been suggested so far? No, Cassidy, okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's like a good system if you do like a designated check mark per thing, per task. If it once it's completed, then talking to them or messaging them like another team member to get things completed.
Okay, and then okay, so private message. So basically, green check marks at the end of each day, and then missing check marks prompt a internal conversation from the team leaders to decide who's going to follow up. And then there will be a private message from the designated team leader to the person who missed the check mark, right? Okay. And okay, I mean, it gets into further questions like about like what we do if somebody's habitually missing the check mark or something like that, but let's wait until we're there. I'm looking at the chat you just put. Or yeah, I would say at 12 p.m. is a reasonable time to verify the check mark is missing and talk with those that are missing. I think, you know, part of what I'm feeling in general is I'm feeling that we're giving a little too much leeway about things. And I think that, you know, I want to make this practice a practice of what people are doing at the end of their day. I want it to be an end of day practice, not a like next morning kind of practice. Because I think that I don't know, I'm open to hearing what you guys think. I'm having some mixed feelings about it. So what do the rest of you think about whether a 12 p.m. deadline is appropriate or whether, you know, that's just giving too much leeway?
I mean, we could go earlier in the day just for follow-up. I mean, I guess, so 12 would be 10 my time, so we could go a couple hours earlier.
Okay, let's do that, because if somebody, for whatever reason, misses it at night, we'll give some leeway, although, yeah, we'll just see where it goes. But let's say 10 a.m. Eastern is when you guys communicate if there's a check mark missing. So you guys will check in with each other at 10 a.m. Eastern. That works for you guys? And then be able to figure out the action steps from there. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so then, okay, does that cover what we need to cover in terms of the protocol there? Let me add it into the chat. And then Cassidy, you can put some version of this into the minutes. Okay, so green check mark at the end of each day, missing check marks prompt internal conversation from team leaders to decide who will follow up. Private message from designated team leader to person who missed the check mark. Okay, anything else that we need to add to that or adjust in that? Oh, thank you. Good. 10 a.m. Eastern deadline. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So I think then the other thing that I'm thinking about in terms of, you know, this week with our time tracker is I want to have, I feel like we should have it all like pre-filled out by, well, for sure by the end of tomorrow's meeting, but even a lot of it can be before tomorrow's meeting, because we can take like, oh, the other thing I wanted to ask too is I see that for today, we have, well, Mariana, something must be up with Mariana that we're not hearing from her. Mariana and also Sabah and also Johnny have yet to fill out their hours for today. And so, you know, what's up with Sabah and Johnny, basically, right? And, you know, also that well, going back to this, so again, Sabah, 2 hours designated out of, you know, her 9, and Johnny has for last week he had 4 hours, so there's 1 hour marked out, and I'm not even sure if that's an actual or just a sample, but let's say 1 hour out of the 4. So again, are Johnny and Sabah, you know, checked out at this point, or is something up with them? Like, you know, Katie and Maria, have you guys been in touch with Johnny and Sabah at all? Do you know what's going on for them regarding their workflow or anything? So this is, you know, the other part for me is I feel like there needs to be more of a tuned in, checking in on people personally. So I think it'll help with the check marks, and maybe just following up with the check marks or not is going to do the trick. But I want to make sure that you guys as leaders, because we haven't been focusing on it a lot. I know a lot of it has been about setting up these protocols and all of that. But, you know, I think you guys are learning that as team leaders, there needs to be a certain amount of personal connection and follow up, and just tuning in to where people on your team are at, what's happening with them. And right now, you know, there's a missing for some team members. So we need to, you know, again, maybe everything is taken care of by just the follow-up messages without the check marks, and there won't be any need for additional follow-up. But if that doesn't handle it, somehow there needs to be this connection and knowing where people are at and following up with them personally. So does that make sense? Is that clear? Does everybody agree with that? Okay, good. So I think, again, the last thing is I think that, you know, for our time tracker for this week, well, this is actually last week, so we'll have to make a new one, but I want to set it up to where we're specifying in advance, at least for the combined team, that, you know, the main thing to focus on is the following Katie's scalable action protocol for putting together the showcase information, for collecting and sharing the showcase information, right? So it's almost like, and I'm open to seeing what additional tasks we want to have, including, like Katie, you had mentioned that, you know, Alexis and Sabah and Renasia all had like certain things that they had to get done with their projects. So again, I'm happy if they spent those missing hours on their projects last week, but if they didn't work on their projects and their projects still have to get done and we just lost hours, that's a big deal with the number of weeks we have left, right? And the number of limited hours that we have at this point, which is why it's so important for us to be on top of this so much, right? So I think, again, let me just start it, because I think it's going to be, you know, this is what we need to do is, let's duplicate. So for the week of November 15th, so let's go through and let's just use Alexis as the example. So we have 12 hours from, oh, that's last week. Okay. So this week, okay, we have 12 hours again from Alexis. So great. So we have 12 hours from Alexis, and then essentially like we did, because they're combined this week anyhow. So let's say 6 hours from research, 6 hours from production. So let's actually do the task is the showcase. What do we call this? The task of collecting the items and organizing them for the showcase. We say,
Like showcase preparation.
yeah, that's actually what I was.
Oh.
That's perfect. Showcase preparation. Okay, great. So let's say that for Alexis, and let's say that she has her individual research, let's say. So let's say we're going to give her 2 hours for the individual research and 4 hours for the showcase. And let's say for the production, it's going to be full 6 hours of the production time is going to be used for the showcase. Okay. And then when we actually connect with Alexis, we can see if any of this needs to change, but we can essentially do this with every person right now, right? And I want to do all of this in advance, you know, or during the meeting if we have time during the meeting, because I want to walk away from tomorrow's meeting with our time tracker all filled out in terms of the tasks. Last time we talked about like having it done by the end of Wednesday, but I feel like we're just losing, you know, that'll just be another day lost from the end of the meeting on Tuesday until the end of Wednesday if we don't have it all specified in advance. So what do you guys think about that? You guys think that's doable? And do you think that we're heading down the right road with doing this? Thumbs up from Katie, a nod from Maria. What do you guys think, Tatiana and Cassidy? Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so that's good. So we'll have, so this is getting to another thing that I wanted to share with you guys, which is that I noticed today that we're askew on the way that we're tracking hours and the way we're assigning things, right? So let me show what I mean by that, is that, you know, we're tracking things on this calendar. We even updated it last time to show that it's Monday to Monday, which is how we've asked people to specify hours to this point, right? But when we assign assignments, we normally assign the assignment, excuse me, on the Tuesday of the meeting. And then, you know, they have usually until the next Tuesday, right? Typically it's a week-long assignment from Tuesday to Tuesday. Excuse me, so the assignments are running from Tuesday to Tuesday, but the time tracking is actually running from Monday to Monday. So there's a little bit off there. You guys see what I'm saying? Where really it would make a little bit more sense to say, how many hours do I have available this coming week from when the assignment gets assigned until when the assignment is due, right? Rather than have that split up between a couple of different weeks in the accounting. Does that make sense? So I think it's going to be best, and I'm not sure how to display it exactly, unless we just set it up for Tuesday as the first day, although some teams can have Monday as their first day. But it just seems like the time tracking ought to be coinciding with the meeting day so that there can be a whole week of time that's devoted to the meeting and tracked that way. And the other part of it is, just to share with you guys as well, is that we set up this schedule, you know, with the team meetings on Tuesday evening for the most part, in part so that we've got, when something gets assigned on Tuesday, then we've got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the team to be working on it, right? For the hours to be put in on the time tracker, essentially. And then for us to be able to check in on as a team by Monday morning and say, okay, more than 50% of the week has gone by, 60% of the work week plus the weekend has gone by. Are we at least at 50% of the work that needed to get done, or where are we at? Because if we are behind, especially if we haven't started yet, we still have 2 days. We still have Monday and most of the day on Tuesday to get this done. But I feel like in a way, we've gotten more in a mindset that if something isn't done by Monday morning, then we'll just address it when we get to the team meeting on Tuesday. And I feel like if something isn't done by Monday morning, then we should be asking people to get it done by Tuesday night. That's kind of where I want to be at in terms of timing, you know, and I want to be able to have like the alarm bell go off on Monday. Okay, Monday morning, here we're at, where are we at for the week? Because if we're not on track yet, now is like, if people wanted to wait to the last minute, now is the last minute type of thing. You get what I'm saying? I would rather have people getting the bulk of things done Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But if they haven't gotten the bulk of things done Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, well, here's their, you know, the alarm bell. We still have Monday and Tuesday, but now it's up to you to get it done quickly, you know, if you're behind. You get what I'm saying? That we're maximally using the time of the week. So are you guys in agreement with that? Does that make sense? Do you guys think that's a good system? What do you think about, you know, how we're trying to arrange expectations at this point?
I think that really helps actually to have everybody more like accountable and like working more efficiently on like what they have to work on.
And so you're saying that you think it is a good idea on Monday morning to check in and see, you know, where things are at and ask people, yeah, that, okay, we still have time, you know, we still have to, you know, all day Monday and most of the day Tuesday. What do we need to do to get this done by tomorrow night, right? Okay, good. I appreciate that. Katie, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that makes more sense because yeah, typically work more on weekends. So I sometimes get confused on where my week starts and stops. So having that line will really help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think then, let's just for practical purposes, and I know again, so we're gonna have to see. We might have to adjust it because, like, again, the research team is going to run from Tuesday to Tuesday in terms of hours, looking at hours, but the business team is going to run from Monday to Monday. So do you guys have a solution in how to view this simply and how to divide it properly between the different teams? No suggestions? Okay, we won't spend more time on it now, but we will have to kind of figure that out because that's a vexing question to me at the moment. How do we manage it differently for different teams in terms of start days for the week? Okay, I think we've sufficiently covered what I wanted to cover with that. I think the main thing, again, the takeaways. Well, the other thing I did want to mention is that we have talked, week after week about having a written assignment for each of these meetings, and we haven't been doing that. And I think that that's still an important part. So I want to ask you guys, Katie and Maria, actually everybody, because this affects everybody, about the idea of having a written assignment following each meeting so that it's written out, in terms of what needs to get done, and there's no question about what has been written. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that in the sense that, we've been talking about it, but it hasn't been done? So do you guys feel like it doesn't need to be done, or you've just been forgetting about it, or what do you think we need to do about that?
No, I think it's a great idea to have that. I think that makes like the work clearer to members. We haven't get it done yet because we are still working on that. But yeah, I think that is a great idea. And we plan to have that like as soon as possible, basically, before tomorrow meeting.
Yes, well, when you say have it done, are you talking about like the scalable action protocol that you guys have been working on? Right. So that I want to make a distinction too, because the scalable action protocol, right, it is like you're saying, the really detailed like work of getting, this done. But, and I know you guys as the team leaders have been working on that, from last week, but we can't have the whole team waiting, a whole week to do the work that they are supposed to be doing because we haven't got the assignment written out yet. Like we have to separate it. Like the assignment from last Tuesday, was go ahead and start, putting together this information, and start collecting it and preparing to share it. And we talked as a team, on Friday, the team leaders talked on Friday about creating the scalable action protocol, right? But that shouldn't be and even though we're working on that, that shouldn't be holding up the rest of the team from doing some work, right? So I know it's kind of, we really want them to be doing the work within the scalable action protocol. So we didn't really necessarily want them doing work before it's ready, but at the same time, we can't be having a situation where we're losing out on a week because we're not putting together what the what the assignment is for a week. You get what I'm saying? We have to somehow make sure that the whole team is in action like right away, right? Like whatever the assignment is needs to be published like immediately. So if not the same night, like early the next day, the assignment needs to be out there, right? I think we need to come up with a protocol for the timing on that. So I think maybe something like, when we have a 6 p.m. meeting, maybe like by 10 a.m. Eastern the next day is when the written assignment is public for the team at the latest. You know, ideally for me, especially for the combined meeting, that once we finish at 7:30, that you guys would, you know, get together and figure out, you know, how to write it up and put it out there so that by, you know, 9 p.m. or whatever, that the written assignment is out there along with the video and whatever. That's to me more of like the ideal of where we go with this for any team, that any team is getting the written assignment published within like an hour or two of the meeting being done. And I've seen sometimes some leaders have done that. So that's the ideal, is getting the written assignment out within an hour or two of the meeting. But let's say a worst case scenario by 10 a.m. the next day. Does that work for everybody in terms of having a written assignment of what was come up during the meeting? What do you guys think about that? Thumbs up from Katie.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, absolutely.
For the written assignment, is it more like basically like all of the tasks we said we were going to get done this week, just sort of compiled in like a way where like the team members can see, you know, we were going to get this done, we're going to get this done, we're going to get this done, just so it's easier after we've talked about it to just see like these are all the things we talked about that we're going to do? Is that the point?
That, yeah, the point is that where do we go to see what the assignment is other than to rewatch the video, right? Or to look in the minutes that we decided, and we've been told by some team members that they need to see it in a written format to make it like real for them and for them to know where to go to find what the assignment is. You know, 3 days later, I don't remember what we decide. What is the assignment? You know, where do I find that?
And so for that, if, for instance, you know, in the recruitment team meeting, for example, we talked about Tatiana, I don't know, writing a new email template. I'm just making something up. But so then in the written assignment, would I also put like the team member who agreed to do that task so that they remember, or is that sort of up to them to remember? Or how should we do that?
You know, for sure, that's the thing, is that we can't leave things up to people to remember or know on their own. This is where we need to make sure our systems put everything out there very clearly in writing, you know, that this is who's responsible for what by when. And it's where, you know, we put it into the assignment, and then it also goes into the time tracker in terms of, you know, estimated hours for different people for different things. But this is where, you know, for sure we need to have a written record of what the assignment is and have that correlate to the time tracker. Okay, great. So any other questions or thoughts about that? Katie, Maria, Tatiana, are you guys on board with coming up with a written assignment, if possible, within an hour or two of the meeting, or worst case scenario by 10 a.m. Eastern the next morning?
Yeah, I generally am busy from the end of the combined team meeting until the end of the night. But I could definitely get it out by the next morning.
And this is where, again, it doesn't have to be like a unanimous thing, because Maria and Mariana can take that on, Katie, as long as, you know, there's a agreement that it's, you know, everyone's on the same page with it. And there can always be, I guess, a correction if necessary. But, you know, the one thing I want to, thank you for the thumbs up, Katie. One thing I want to be clear with you guys as the team leaders is you can divide up things and delegate things and have certain people responsible for certain things. It doesn't have to be everybody doing everything, right? That's kind of the help of having multiple team leaders for you guys, is you can divide things up and get things done that way. So just to put a bow on this, because I want to continue on and wrap up our meeting. So Maria, Tatiana, are you guys on board with that system, and within an hour or two of having written assignments, if possible, or at the latest by 10 a.m. Eastern the next day? Yes,
Yes,
Maria?
that's fine with me. I was just wondering, is there going to be like a specific document, or are we just like is it like one GLADE document, or is it everyone setting their own?
Well, what we talked about previously, when we talked about a couple of weeks ago, you guys might recall, is we talked about creating a new section within the minutes of the meeting for where we would specify the assignment. But I think it might be a good idea to have it in a separate document. I'm open to thoughts around that, although I don't want to spend a lot more time on it now. We might continue it next week, but does anybody have any quick thoughts about where those assignments should reside?
I think right now they can be in the minutes.
I think that that's probably the best place, because then it has the minutes itself has the assignment in it and as part of the minutes. So I think that's the best place to have a section, after the agenda, essentially where we have like top things for the week in the weekly priorities section. Yeah, I think that maybe the weekly priorities section gets changed or added to, but that's where I think it should be. Probably let's have weekly priorities, and then the next section just below weekly priorities before all the minutes is weekly assignments. Does that sound good? Okay, and you'll put that in the minutes, Cassidy, and we'll add that to all of our minutes from now on. Okay, great. Okay, good. So any other questions or clarifications about any of that? Okay, great. Let's continue. Okay, so the new content. So let me just show you guys the new content really quickly. We'll just run through this very quickly. I started to create a new homepage, if you guys haven't seen it. So I really worked on simplifying things and really updating it to where we're at right now. So we've got the mission front and center. Taking action. So I'm actually going to read through all of this really quickly so we're all on the same page and I can get your guys' feedback. So Uniting for Action mission, facilitating the strategic collective actions required to effectively address the current and future challenges in our communities and in our world. So taking action, creating results. Many urgent life and death issues like deforestation, health equity, and pollution require action at a completely different scale than our current status quo systems are capable of. Uniting for Action is bringing people and stakeholders together in ways we can take collective actions at the scale necessary to effectively address issues. Any questions or comments about that real quick? Okay, we don't have, unfortunately, a lot of time to do a lot of feedback on this, but I just want you guys to know what's here and be updated. So here's a big shift that I came up with this weekend, is that Uniting for Action is both a membership organization and a solutions provider. So that's kind of a quick and easy way for us to describe what Uniting for Action is. The membership organization, Uniting for Action, is a membership organization of those who support the development and implementation of collective strategic solutions. Okay, so those are all of the stakeholders, all the individuals, businesses, nonprofits, etc., that support the development and implementation of collective strategic solutions. Okay, and then on the other side, the solutions provider, we're providing many breakthrough solutions, including the Uniting for Action solutions framework for systematically implementing collective solutions. So does that make sense to everybody, both sides, the membership organization and the solutions provider? Any questions or comments about that? Okay, thumbs up from Katie, thank you. Okay, great. So here I'm going to take the 5 minutes because I want you guys to see. This was a meeting I had with Alex yesterday, who's going to become one of our leadership council members. And this is me sharing like a brief overview of everything in 5 minutes. So I'm getting the presentation down a bit tighter, and I want you guys to hear you know, what it sounds like in terms of an overview of our organization right now, and then we can maybe give a little bit of feedback and all of that. I was going to send this to you guys earlier, but the last couple of times I sent a video during, you know, early on Monday, you guys, at least some of you haven't had a chance to watch it by now. So I figured better if we all watch it together and you guys give some feedback. So sound good? Okay, and be prepared. I want to get some feedback from each of you after this. So we'll just watch this for 5 minutes and then get some feedback. Okay, so this is like this framework. The framework is that we are addressing all issues. So you know, going back in our history, you know that I'm here on the planet to support a transition to sustainability. So you know that I've been working on how do we systematically, using my aerospace engineering background, how do we systematically address climate and deforestation and pollution and on and on and on and on. And, because we can systematically address all of them. So what that looks like is it looks like identifying all of the issues in advance, developing our resource pool. Our resource pool of pledged resources include nonprofits, foundations, corporations, experts, individuals. These are all the entities that are interested in creating a collective solution. Because as you know, here's the challenge with our society right now. Right now, the solution that we rely on to address all of our challenges is the nonprofit world, right? Like, let's just use climate as an example. We've got tens of thousands of nonprofits that are devoted to, climate issues, right? And almost all of those organizations are competing against the organization to the right and to the left for their donor dollars and their corporate support and their media attention. Like, every single nonprofit has to compete against other nonprofits to exist, right? And in that competitive environment, metaphorically, they can each build like a 1 or 2 story building, but when you need a 1,000-story building to address the solution, like we do for these big issues, and it doesn't matter how many years or hundreds of years you spend building 1 or 2 story buildings, but when the collective comes together and pools their resources, then they can build a 1,000-story building. So we're creating that alternative. We're creating the collective strategic solution by having some percentage of what's out there in the status quo. It could be very small percent. It could be 1 or 2% that say we want to, create a collective solution. So creating the collective solution means identifying the pooled resources, then bringing in the experts, the ones that have been working for years and decades to understand all of this, the professors and the nonprofits that are experts and all that. And the experts work with the strategic planners and the strategic engineering solutions, and they come together to create comprehensive collective strategic plans that compete against each other. So say there's like 10 different proposals. Then you, as one of the pledgers of support, so let's say that you're putting $100 a month into the collective pool of resources, and you want 50% to go to climate, you want 25% to go to clean water, and you want 25% to go to social justice. So your $50 a month to climate, you get to say, this solution I would give all 50 to. This solution I would only give 25 a month to. This solution I don't want to pledge anything to. I don't want to give anything to this one. So basically, the winners are the ones that are fully pledged by the pool of resources. So the ones that are fully pledged by the pool of resources, that includes the nonprofits and the foundations, the corporations, the experts, the individuals, those are the ones that get implemented, and those are the ones out there in the world. Then we have the project management of all of that. And the thing is that right now in our society, we have millions of people that care about all kinds of issues. And right now they have no way to give their collective energy to create any kind of results. So part of what we're doing is we're creating this whole nano action system where you take the projects, you break it down into actions, sub-actions down to the nano actions that are actions that you can take 5 minutes at a time, even 20 seconds at a time, sitting in line. Like, you could look up NFTs, you could grab an article, you could paste it into our system, and in the 10 to 20 seconds that you did something, you're actually building out the database collectively with everyone else. So we're tapping into millions of hours of untapped potential human resources, along with all the finances, and we're bringing it into the collective pool of resources to create strategic solutions for all of our challenges. So that framework is the framework that we're bringing to the world. And we're also being a membership organization of the individuals that want to work together, individuals, corporations, foundations that want to work together within some framework like this, because even the framework competes the solution. So even this whole solution I'm describing to you is just one prospective solution that within the framework would compete against other solutions. But the idea is the framework is getting evolved to be able to provide optimum solutions for our society with the optimum use of our resources. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing, is we're bringing together all the people that want to work together to create some collective solutions, creating a framework that's optimizing the use of all of those resources, and just continuing to expand out as people see like the results we're creating, and more people want to join and be a part of creating collective solutions. So that's what we're creating. And if you appreciate that enough that you want to help lead that into the world, then, that's your opportunity right now. So thoughts from you guys about that?
I can say I think it does a good job at framing the entire Uniting for Action as a whole and showing the different aspects that we are partaking in. The only thing is, I think it's kind of like the visuals are a little distracting.
I'm sorry, the what?
The visuals might be a little distracting. So maybe like not have like you two just there, like having like actual movements, I guess, that kind of help flow the words that were flow, like help the words flow better, I guess. I don't know if that makes complete sense, but
Well, what do you think should be shown instead?
maybe like an animation, if that's possible. It might be a lot of work, but an animation that doesn't show like, because it's kind of because I kept looking at him twirling his pencil and it was just distracting me because I get distracted easily, but that was part of it.
Okay, so that's good information, because I was debating with myself whether to show him or not, because I like the idea of there being somebody else that's listening, but like you're saying, it doesn't necessarily present as the best listener, like you said, them twirling his pencil or not necessarily looking as engaged as somebody else might look. So I think that's good feedback, Tatiana. Good. What else do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with Tatiana. I think if you did want to do like another one with somebody else having a more like engaged body language, I know that's sort of awkward to ask somebody to look engaged, but he just was sort of like leaning back. And so it does sort of distract from you, because the energy I feel like on both sides of the screens was really different. And so it sort of threw me off personally. And then, yeah, I did find it hard to kind of read your notes. I know that's like your main framework that you're sort of using as a working document, but it's so small that I was like leaning in to read it. So I think having something a little bit more refined would be helpful as well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yeah. Okay, good. That's good feedback. Awesome. What else, Maria and Katie?
Yeah, I agree that the visuals could be better, but I think the explanation overall was pretty coherent and understandable. So yeah, it was just, if the visuals were cleaned up, I think that would make a really good impact.
Okay, so let me hear from Maria, and then I'll ask another question. I think we're going to have Rebe show up relatively soon as well, just to give you guys a heads up that we're getting close to our recruitment team meeting. So we'll work on wrapping up here as quickly as we can. So Maria, what would you like to say?
I agree with what they all said. To add to that, maybe you can create like a video, like a screen video of what you are showing in the screen, but like put in the actual video. Maybe that would have more definition, I would say.
Sorry, have what you said, put what video did you say at the end?
Like a video of what you're actually like showing on the video call, but like actually you screen recording that. So maybe that has more definition, and then you can put that, as Tatiana was saying, like as an animation, kind of like a video And then the audio part.
Yeah, so let me ask you guys, because I think that you're right that we can maybe change. I have, that's the gallery view that you guys know that I typically like to use, but we have a speaker, I have the video of the speaker view where it just shows me without showing Alex, right? So I could be using that instead, not showing Alex. And then I could, like you said, create some graphics to show it graphically. And when I say ideally it's actually the production team doing that, but we'll just have to see how quickly we can do it. But let me just ask you guys, do you guys feel that the words, the audio is sufficient, that it's good enough audio that we should use this audio, or do you feel like the whole thing ought to be redone with new audio as well?
I think that the audio is fine. Mhm.
Cassidy, you agree? Okay. Katie, Tatiana, what do you guys think? Thumbs up from Tatiana. Okay.
Yeah, I think the audio is fine and good explanation. So yeah, I think it can stay.
Okay. All right. Let's leave it at that for now. I think that's good feedback for me for now. So I think we've covered enough of what there is for us to cover for the executive team today. I appreciate, let's give some claps for all that you guys contributed tonight. I feel like we really went through a lot of stuff that we needed to. So I really appreciate, the dedicated work during this meeting. And I think we got through a lot of the things we need to really be able to be on top of, our game and what we need to for this week and for the next, few weeks to really roll with power through the end of this semester and into the next. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. We'll take a quick break for those staying on, and Katie and Maria, we will see you guys later. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.